very much indeed. It is quite an interesting topic in that whenever I give sort of little talks, it often engenders a lot of passion in the people that I'm chatting with, largely because it focuses their attention on the type of patient that causes them the most frustration. I'm trying hard to think about a title really, and came up with this largely because the issue of motivation and behaviour change when we're working with patients is often about these three things. It's to do with whether or not patients are ready to do the things that we ask them to do, whether or not they're willing, and whether or not they're actually able. And I suppose the talk tonight was really just to put across the idea that there is a set of skills, there's a methodology that we can all use, not just privy to psychologists, that might make it more likely for patients to become a little bit more ready, a little bit more willing, a little bit more able to do the sorts of things that we ask them to do. There's also a certain degree of acute embarrassment on my part, because looking around I can see that probably most of you, or many of you here, will have been to the North British Pain Association's November meeting, where the very authoritative Jeff Allison, I believe, talked on this very subject, and I wasn't at that meeting, so many of you may well know just about as much as I do, hopefully not more. So what I'm going to do is, I certainly wouldn't claim to be an expert in this field, but it's certainly something that I find myself, a technique I find myself using increasingly with the patients that I see, particularly the type of patients that you can imagine somebody like myself seeing a great deal of. What I'm going to try and do is to convey the sense that there are some fairly straightforward, simple techniques that we can all use, and that although the basic principle of motivational interviewing is a counselling style that many of us would have to go away and learn and become sophisticated in, more recently there have been developments to suggest that there are actually the core elements of motivational interviewing and skills that we can pick up to use when we're fairly time limited with our patients. So that's what I'd hopefully try to convey tonight. So I'd like to give just a little bit of background, explain a little bit about what motivational interviewing actually is, what relevance